Hey, what's going on, Motion fans? Welcome back to this week's Motion Monday. This week we're going to teach you how to skip and flip a jig. We'll cover how to set your reel up and the technique behind it on how to have that perfect skip every single time. So let's jump right into it and get started. So the first thing I want to cover is how to set your reel up properly to get started for you to pitch and flip. Today we're going to be skipping around the 1/2 ounce golden craw paired with a Bama colored penny craw. We've got this on our Revo SX in an 8-to-1. So a couple things to keep in mind when you're pitching and flipping is having the tensioner, the brake, all of that set up properly. So a good starting point is with your tensioner to be able to have that jig fall from the end of your rod down to the ground without your spool looping over itself. So as you drop that jig down, your spool should stop without getting a bird's nest. The better you get at this, the looser you can have that spool, but it's nice to start with a little bit tighter so that way you can prevent a lot of backlashes as you're getting started. So again, we'll drop it down. See, I got a little backlash, that's a little too much. We'll tighten that tensioner back down a little bit. For the brake, I like to just turn it a couple turns, start there. If you need a little bit more brake, you can go ahead and crank that bad boy up. So let's start with flipping the bait. This is a really effective technique when you're close to cover, whether that be like a grass mat, grass line, a corner of a dock, a lay down, whatever it may be. This is really effective. To get started, I like to have my bait about the same distance as the rod. So when I'm out here flipping, I have something to hold on to and give that momentum. As you go, you're going to want to release the bait as you start to bring that rod up. What's going to allow this bait to skip across the water is that upward momentum of the rod. So it's important you find that sweet spot of when to let go of that jig as you're releasing it. So you release it, you want to lift up that rod, get it out to that spot you want to fish. So again, we're just going to release it right where we want it, next to that piece of cover in the water. Okay. Another technique for flipping as well, this is super effective if you're fishing grass mats, things like that, is to go ahead and pull out some line, and all you can do is just use that slack in your line to lift your bait up out of the water and pitch where you need to go. Every little drop a hole in the weed line, whatever it may be, you can just pick and go. What's nice about this is it gives you the opportunity to make a ton more accurate pitches in a small little spot, but still have enough leverage to be able to set the hook. The skipping technique is going to allow you to get really far back into docks, more accurate, and keep a distance away from the cover that you're fishing. Now when you're doing these techniques, I wouldn't start with a bunch of muscle behind it. Really just take it nice and easy and try and figure out that technique before you start putting muscle and really trying to get that distance. So let's give one of these a try. Again, it's all going to be about the roll of the wrist and that upward momentum of that jig. So you get that right momentum, you can get it back in those shady spots of the dock there. That's the beauty of this. It allows you to put that bait in some areas where other people might not be getting. So that's why it's super important to practice and learn these techniques. Go down, walk the bank, try it from the boat. If you're flipping around, get a coffee can and do that stuff in the backyard. You can really become effective from a lot of different practice of this. So throughout the day, I'm going to vary a lot of my techniques. It just really depends on the type of cover that I'm fishing. If I'm trying to pinpoint, certain targets in front of me, a lot of times I'm going to flip. If I'm trying to get up underneath some shade, things like that, then I'm going to do a little roll cast and skip it up underneath the dock, especially if it's out just a little bit further. Guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in with me this week. If you found these tips helpful, please share them to your stories. It really helps us get it in front of more people. And drop a comment below on some things that you need help with learning, and we'll try to get out a video for you. We really appreciate your support. Like the video, and we'll see you next time.